Hardline Israelis and their American supporters are aware of these problems, but they are betting that the lobby will defend Israel no matter what, and that its support will be sufficient to allow apartheid Israel to survive. It might seem like a safe bet, since the lobby has played a key role in shielding Israel from American pressure up to now. In fact, one could argue that Israel could not have gotten as far down the apartheid road as it has without the help of organizations like AIPAC and the Anti-Defamation League. But that strategy is not likely to work over the long term. The problem with depending on the lobby for protection is that most American Jews will not back Israel if it becomes a full-fledged apartheid state. Indeed, many of them are likely to criticize Israel and support calls for making Greater Israel a legitimate democracy. That is obviously not the case now, but there are good reasons to think that a marked shift in the American Jewish community's thinking about Israel is in the offing. This is not to deny that there are some diehards who will defend apartheid Israel, but their ranks will be thin, and it will be widely apparent that they are out of step with core American values. Let me elaborate. American Jews who care deeply about Israel can be divided into three broad categories. The first two are what I call righteous Jews and the new Afrikaners, which are clearly definable groups that think about Israel and where it is headed in fundamentally different ways. The third and largest group of those Jews is comprised of those Jews who care a lot about Israel but do not have clear-cut views on how to think about Greater Israel and apartheid. Let us call this group the Great Ambivalent Middle. Righteous Jews have a powerful attachment to core liberal values. They believe that individual rights matter greatly and that they are universal, which means that they apply equally to Palestinians and Jews. They could never support an apartheid Israel. They also understand that the Palestinians paid an enormous price to make it possible to create Israel in 1948. Moreover, they recognize the pain and suffering that Israel has inflicted on the Palestinians in the occupied territories since 1967. Finally, most righteous Jews believe that the Palestinians deserve a viable state of their own. In essence, they believe that self-determination applies to Palestinians as well as Jews, and that the two-state solution is the best way to achieve that end. Some righteous Jews, however, favor a democratic binational state over the two-state solution. To give you a better sense of what I mean when I use the term righteous Jews, let me give you some names of people and organizations that I would put in this category. The list would include Noam Chomsky, Roger Cohen, Richard Falk, Norman Finkelstein, Tony Judt, Tony Karan, Naomi Klein, M.J. Rosenberg, Sarah Roy, and Philip Weiss of Mondo Weiss fame, just to name a few. I would also include many of the individuals associated with J Street and everyone associated with Jewish Voice for Peace, as well as distinguished international figures like Richard Goldstone. Furthermore, I would apply the label to the many American Jews who work for different human rights organizations, such as Kenneth Roth of Human Rights Watch. On the other side, we have the new Afrikaners, who will support Israel even if it is an apartheid state. These are individuals who will back Israel no matter what it does, because they have blind loyalty to the Jewish state. This is not to say that the new Afrikaners think that apartheid is an attractive or desirable political system, because I am sure many of them do not. Surely some of them favor a two-state solution, and some of them probably have a serious commitment to liberal values. The key point, however, is that they have an even deeper commitment to supporting Israel unreservedly. The new Afrikaners will, of course, try to come up with clever arguments to convince themselves and others that Israel is really not an apartheid state and that those who say it is are anti-Semites. We're all familiar with this strategy. I would classify most of the individuals who head the lobby's major organizations as new Afrikaners. This would include Abraham Foxman of the Anti-Defamation League, David Harris of the American Jewish Committee, Malcolm Hohenlein of the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations, Ronald Lauder of the World Jewish Congress, and Morton Klein of the Zionist Organization of America, just to name some of the more prominent ones. I would also include businessmen like Sheldon Adelson, Lester Crown, and Mortimer Zuckerman, as well as media personalities like Fred Hyatt and Charles Krauthammer of the Washington Post, Brett Stevens of the Wall Street Journal, and Martin Peretz of the New Republic. It would be easy to add more names to this list. The key to determining whether the lobby can protect apartheid Israel over the long run is whether the great ambivalent middle sides with the new Afrikaners or the righteous Jews. The new Afrikaners have to win that fight decisively for Greater Israel to survive as a racist state. There's no question that the present balance of power favors the new Afrikaners. When push comes to shove on issues relating to Israel, the hardliners invariably get most of those American Jews who care a lot about Israel to side with them. The righteous Jews, on the other hand, hold considerably less sway with the great ambivalent middle, at least at this point in time. This situation is due in good part to the fact that most American Jews, especially the elders in the community, have little understanding of how far down the apartheid road Israel has traveled and where it is ultimately headed. They think that the two-state solution is still a viable option and that Israel remains committed to allowing the Palestinians to have their own state. These false beliefs allow them to act as if there is little danger that Israel is becoming South Africa, which makes it easy for them to side with the new Afrikaners. This situation, however, is unsustainable over time. Once it is widely recognized that the two-state solution is dead and Greater Israel is a reality, the righteous Jews will have two choices: support apartheid or work to help create a democratic binational state. I believe that almost all of the righteous Jews will opt for the latter option, in large part because of their deep-seated commitment to liberal values, which renders any apartheid state abhorrent to them. Of course, the new Afrikaners will fiercely defend apartheid Israel because their commitment to Israel is so unconditional that it overrides any commitment they might have to liberal values. The critical question, however, is what will happen to those Jews who comprise the great ambivalent middle once it is clear to them that Israel is a full-fledged apartheid state and that facts on the ground have made a two-state solution impossible. Will they side with the new Afrikaners and defend Israel? Or will they ally with the righteous Jews and call for making Greater Israel a true democracy? Or will they sit silently on the sidelines? I believe that most of the Jews in the great ambivalent middle will not defend apartheid Israel, but will either keep quiet or side with the righteous Jews against the new Afrikaners, who will become increasingly marginalized